Hello everyone. In the previous session, we have discussed the one-dimensional heat conduction equation. Now, most of the heat transfers in practical scenarios are not one-dimensional, but they are three-dimensional. That's why we need a governing equation for three-dimensional heat conduction as well. So that's what we are going to derive right now. So we are going to consider an elemental volume, a very small volume, and we are going to analyze various heat interactions in that volume. So now let us see how do we proceed with this. So there is this elemental volume we are going to consider. The sides of this volume are having very small dimensions. Let us say this is the x dimension of this volume and it is equal to dx. Afterwards, there will be other two dimensions because this is a three-dimensional problem that we are discussing. And such understanding is important because practical applications, they are not just one-dimensional. There are rarely the cases of one-dimensional heat transfer. So, and let us also set our coordinate system like this. So, we will be having x coordinate, we will be having y coordinate, and we will be having a z coordinate. So this is our x coordinate, then this is our y coordinate, and finally this will be our z coordinate. Okay, now dx is the dimension in x direction, then there will be one more dimension dy in the y direction, then there will be one more dimension in the z direction dz. Now, let us understand that heat interactions will take place in all the three directions. So, let us establish that. Let us say Qx is the heat which is entering into the domain, and then Qx plus Tx, it is the heat which is exiting the domain in x direction. At the same time, some Qy is also entering this domain and Qy plus dy is leaving the domain. Remember this y plus dy, x plus dx, these are suffixes to q. Also, let us say to this direction, in this direction, qz is the heat which is entering into the domain and qz plus tz is the heat which is leaving in the z direction. Alright, because we are also going to consider heat generation, so let us say G is the rate of volumetric heat generation. Again, notice the unit of G will be watt per meter cube, which means when we are calculating total heat generation, we will be multiplying this G by the volume of this element. Then we will proceed with the analysis. We have established all the heat interactions. So whatever is entering into the system, for example Qx, Qy and Qz, these will be considered positive. The heat which is leaving the system or the domain, Qx plus Tx, Qy plus Dy, Qz plus Dz, these will be considered negative. And then we also need to establish the total amount of heat generated. So amount of heat generated which will be termed as Qgen, and it will be equal to the volumetric rate. The volumetric rate is nothing but G. So that's why it will be equal to G multiplied by volume of the element, as simple as that. Now we can observe from the geometry, volume of the element is simply the multiplication of three dimensions. So it is dx dy multiplied by dz. So this will be equal to G multiplied by dx dy dz. That's it. So now we will apply the energy balance. Energy balance is simply the application of first law of thermodynamics so that you can account for all the energy interactions, all the heat interactions. So in this case we are simply going to write Qx because it is entering into the system minus Qx plus dx exiting the system, then Qy entering the system minus exiting the system Qy plus dy, then again entering the system Qz minus Qy z plus dz which is exiting the system. Apart from that, there is also heat generation which is given by q gen that we have already evaluated. Now, because of all these heat interactions, there will be change in energy level of this element with respect to time. So that's why it will be indicated by delta E by delta T. Now we will quantify. See, this is a very simple energy balance statement that tells us about all the heat interactions which are happening with the element. So we will sort down each and every parameter systematically. Qx is known, Qy is known, Qz is known. Let us break up Qx plus dx using Taylor's series, just like we did in our previous derivation. So using Taylor's series, we know that f of x plus dx is nothing but original function f of x plus dabba by dabba x of that f of x multiplied by spread of the domain in that direction, that is dx. So now in this case it is very similar to now this q x plus dx will be equal to original qx plus dabba by dabba x of this qx multiplied by dx. In the same fashion, we can also write for qy plus dy as well as qz plus dz. So what do we get over here? Qy plus dy will be equal to this original qy plus dabba by dabba y of qy multiplied by dy. For z direction, we can also write this expression qz plus dz will be equal to original qz plus dabba by dabba z of qz multiplied by dz. Now we can substitute all these values in this original energy balance equation. Once more, the change in internal energy, it is simply indicated by the sensible energy change, because whenever the temperature changes, the internal energy changes. So that we can quantify. So this dabba E by dabba T will be nothing but whatever be the mass into specific heat of that element or that material multiplied by change in temperature with respect to change in time. It is simply the differentiation of temperature and not that of mass or specific heat, because these two things will be constant. And as we know, this mass is nothing but density multiplied by volume. So this will become rho Vc into dabba T by dabba T. Again, I know something about this volume. Volume in this case is simply dx divided dz. So I will write rho c into dx dy dz multiplied by dabba t by dabba t. Remember one thing, this dabba t or dabba variation of temperature with respect to time, this dabba t is different, dx is different, dy is different, dz is different. In these expressions, this is dabba x and this is dx. So this is partial differentiation while this is a dimension. So they will not cancel each other. This is a common mistake made by the students. So now keeping these things on side, we will now write down our next parameter or the substitution of all these values of all these determined values into the energy balance equation. So now obviously one thing we can figure out, we can reduce the number of steps in this derivation. Here it is positive qx, here it is positive qx, but this qx is subtracting qx plus dx, so this qx will be negative. So this qx and this qx will be absorbed. Same way, this qy and this qy will be absorbed. This qz and this qz will be absorbed. So what remains with us is negative of this entire term, then negative of this entire term, and then negative of this entire term. So we will directly jump to that, and also we will substitute the value of qgen over here. So this will reduce our number of steps. So we can directly write now like this. This will become minus dabba by dabba x of qx into dx minus dabba by dabba y of qy multiplied by dy minus Deba by deba z multiplied by qz dz plus g multiplied by dx dy dz, and this entire summation on the left hand side, it will be equal to deba E by deba t, change in internal energy, which is given as rho c multiplied by dx dy dz deba t by deba t. Now we know something from our Fourier's law of conduction. We can use that to determine the values of qx, qy and qz. Let us see how do we proceed with that. Now we can apply Fourier's law. By Fourier's law, what do we get? Qx is equal to minus ka deba t by deba x. But in this case, if the material is anisotropic, which means its properties are not constant in all the direction, then this k will be kx, area will be in the x direction, and also temperature gradient will be in the x direction. In the same fashion, we can write for qy, which will be equal to minus k in y direction, area in y direction, and temperature gradient in the y direction. For z direction, for qz, it will be equal to minus kz az deba t by deba z. We can back substitute these values in these equations, but before that we need to again take a good look at the areas which are considered over here. I will now get back to the original diagram. Okay, I will, for the simplicity, I will name the points. Let us say this is A, B, C, D. These are the first front facing corner points. And then let us say this E, this is F, then this is G, this one is G, and E of G, and this is H. Okay, now why I named all these parts? If you observe, the area through which this qx is actually entering into the system, or this qx plus dx is exiting in the system, means area in the x direction. It is this area. I will highlight this area now. It is being presented by these hatching lines. It is actually this surface of the cube which is taking part in it. It is the area responsible for conduction. And if I take measurement of this area, it is equal to dh multiplied by eh. So if I compare, dh is actually the z dimension and eh is actually y dimension. So effectively what I observe from these two comparisons, that this ax is nothing but area which is made up of area in the x direction, made up of dy and dz multiplied by deba t by deba x as it is. So when I am talking about the x direction area, I am using z dimension and y dimension. Now let us talk about the area in the y direction. What do we observe over here? This qy is entering into the system through dcgh. So let us say this is the dcgh. If you observe this dcgh, it is actually made up of this dc, which is equal to dx. This cg, it is actually equal to dz. And that's why when I am writing area in y direction, I am actually writing dx multiplied by dz multiplied by deba t by deba y. Now we will talk about area in the z direction. So sorry for the interference. Now we have figured out the area for the y direction, which is dx multiplied by dz. In the same fashion, we can figure out the area which is for the z direction. So minus kz into the bracket. When we observe the entering of this qz, we observe that it is entering through this area EFGH. So this is the area that I am talking about, through which this qz is entering. And if I figure out, this area is equal to this fg multiplied by ef, because it is a simple rectangle that we have considered. So it is equal to this dy multiplied by this EF. So this EF is equal to x dimension, that is dx. So this area for this QZ will be equal to dx multiplied by dy. So that's why now we can write dx multiplied by dy multiplied by dabba t by dabba z. So it is not difficult to figure out these areas. There is a simple trick, simple observation. If I want area in x direction, I will use other two dimensions, that is dy and dz. If I want area in y direction, I will only use, except y, I will use other two dimensions, that is dx and dz. If I want area in z direction, I will use remaining two directions, that is dx and dy. It is that simple trick. So now we have found out a suitable replacement for this qx, qy and qz in the form of all these parameters. So we will now back substitute all these parameters. We will back substitute in this above equation. So what do we get? Now we will write them systematically. So that will be minus dabba by dabba x of this expression that we are now going to write minus kx dy dz dabba t by dabba x and then multiplied by this dx. So this will be multiplied by dx minus dabba by dabba y of this is qy and this one is the qy replacement. So in the bracket it will be minus ky multiplied by dx into dz multiplied by dabba t by dabba y and all this multiplied by dy, that we should not forget. So this is multiplied with dy. Then the next parameter that we are going to write is about this qz. So what we get? Minus dabba by dabba z of, for qz we have this minus kz multiplied by dx dy dabba t by dabba z and then multiply it with this dz parameter. So what we get? This is dz plus g into dx dy dz and all this left hand side, this is just the left hand side, it is equal to the right hand side, which is rho c dx dy dz dabba t by dabba t. Okay, now I can see that there are so many terms, so I will simply try to reduce those terms by observation. So let us see what we can do about the increase in such terms. I will hide this paper so that it will not confuse at all. So now let us see. This is actually the product dx multiplied by dy multiplied by dz. Again, what can I see over here? This is again dx multiplied by dy multiplied by dz. Again this is dx dy dz. Again there is this product dx dy dz and there is this volume on the right hand side dx dy dz. So I can cancel dx dy dz, this entire product, from both the sides of the equation. That's the first improvement that we are going to do. Second thing, so that's the first thing what we are going to do, cancelling. So I will simply put down the step here for you. So first thing we are going to do, cancelling dx dy dz from both sides of equation, from both sides. Okay, that's the first step. Then there is this second step, absorbing the negative sign inside. So this negative they will cancel each other. Same thing will happen in these two cases. Okay, next thing, so negative sign that has been absorbed. Okay, now the third thing that we will be doing, it will be considering the material to be isotropic. This kx, ky, kz that I had put to for your understanding, we can consider that material is isotropic. So in that case, this kx, ky and kz will be equal. So if the material is isotropic, which is generally the case, so in that case this kx will be equal to ky will be equal to kz. So what I will do, I will take it out common from this first term, second term, third term, and which means I will divide the entire equation, both the left and right hand sides, by k only. So k will be cancelled from this location and this location. It will be divided to g only. This dx divide dz already cancelled, and also this k will be divided over here because this dx divide dz is cancelled, so k will be divided over here. And so finally what we get is this equation. We get this is differentiation of the differentiation. Dx divide dz already cancelled, k cancelled, so we are actually reducing the steps. So what do we get over here? We get dabba 2t by dabba x square plus dabba 2t by dabba y square plus dabba 2t by dabba z square plus g by k is equal to rho c by k multiplied by dabba t by dabba t. Again, we know that this parameter, this entire rho c by k, this parameter is nothing but 1 upon thermal diffusivity alpha. So that's why our final three-dimensional heat conduction equation becomes dabba 2t by dabba x square plus dabba 2t by dabba y square plus dabba 2t by dabba z square plus g by k. It will be equal to 1 upon alpha dabba t by dabba t. So what we have observed over here? We have observed that this equation is capable to tell us about heat conduction in three dimensions, when temperature can change with respect to location, with respect to directions, as well as it can change with respect to time. Now in this case, we are going to make some changes. Some changes in the sense we are going to incorporate some conditions. So let us see which are those conditions. So there is this first condition. If there is no heat generation in this element, because this is a general heat conduction equation, which means it needs to tell us about all the possible conditions. So if G is equal to 0, then such equation will be again known as Fourier's equation, just like we studied in our one-dimensional heat conduction equation. So this is Fourier's equation. So because of that, the terms that you get, the form of equation that you get is dabba 2t by dabba x plus dabba 2t by dabba y square, my mistake, x square, plus dabba 2t by dabba z square plus 0. It will be equal to 1 upon alpha dabba t by dabba t. This will be known as Fourier's equation. And then there will be second, Poisson's equation, when we say that it is a steady state operation or steady state heat transfer. If it is a steady state, then in that case the variation of temperature with respect to time will be equal to 0. At that point it will be known as Fourier's equation. That's my mistake. It will be known as Poisson's equation. Okay, so the equation will look like this: dabba 2t by dabba x square plus dabba 2t by dabba y square plus dabba 2t by dabba z square plus g by k is equal to 0. Now there is the third possibility, which is expressed by the Laplace's equation. Now if heat generation is also 0 and also we are talking about the steady state, so in that case the equation that we get will be the Laplace's equation. I will write it here for you. It will be known as Laplace's equation, and it will be given as dabba 2t by dabba x square plus dabba 2t by dabba y square plus dabba 2t by dabba z square is equal to 0, because both g and dabba t by dabba t, they are equal to 0. Okay, so that is it for now. Thank you.